السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الحمد لله وجزا الله عنا محمدا ما هو أهله صلى الله عليه وسلم. So we will be continuing from last week, Surah Al-Abasa. And from last week, I mentioned the three different types of souls. So I'm not going to recap. I'm just going to, I forgot last week which surahs the three souls are in. So just to refresh in that for this week. So the first soul, the one Ammara Ammara Bisu, the one that pulls towards evil, is in Surah Al-Yusuf, ayah number 53. Make sure you guys can hear me, inshallah. It's in ayah number 53 of Surah Yusuf. And then the second soul, Nafsul Lawwama, the reproaching or the regretful soul, is the second ayah, second or third of Surah Al-Qiyamah. Let me double check. It is the second ayah, second of Surah Al-Qiyamah, and then the third soul, the one that is pleasing or that is happy, mutma'inna, is the 27th ayah of Surah Al-Fajr. So it's like just at the end of Surah Al-Fajr. Then continuing from where we were last week. Now, I believe we were on ayah number 5, right? Yahya, you remember, right? It's ayah number 5. Correct me if I'm wrong. Or
Yeah.
I'm just gonna start from there unless. Huh? Repeat yourself, Yahya. Oh, it's not working. Okay, yeah,
Yeah, I
we'll just
said I
start from
think
number 5 then. Your audio is like cutting in and out.
really. I think it's probably
Yeah.
I
Okay,
don't
now it's better.
know. Maybe it's
Okay.
just like maybe it's my side or your side. I don't know.
Okay. It
Also,
sounds better
there's
now.
a thunderstorm here, so maybe that's causing it.
Yeah, thunderstorm just left me actually. It was raining and then it went away maybe
Yeah,
like 10-ish minutes ago. Looks like you
I'm
traveled
having a
inside.
thunderstorm over here, so
Oh, it's there now.
it's in Ottawa. Yeah,
That was quick. From Toronto to Ottawa that quickly. Wow. So I guess yeah, we'll just continue from number 5 then. Where were we? So yeah, number 5. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Amma man istaghna. So amma means like as for, and then if you guys remember, man means who. Istaghna means to um when you can say someone who doesn't bother. So istaghna comes from ghani, like ghana yaghni in Arabic, the ghain, the noon, and the ya. It means to be rich. So like one of Allah's names, I believe, is ghaniyun, I believe, right? The the rich. And so istaghna basically means that when people, for example, like Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk, those like super billionaire guys that have like all the world's money, they don't bother about anything. Like they really couldn't care about anything. So it's like that. Like you're just so filthy rich that nothing bothers you, and you're heedless. Like you just don't care. So Allah is saying that as for the one who doesn't bother, he who is self-sufficient, will be clear there, mass amount of wealth, you're self-sufficient, right? He who could not bother. So now Allah is talking to the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he says, فَأَنْتَ لَهُ تَصَدَّى. And he says, فَأَنْتَ, but you, lahu means for him, tasadda, I mean you're concerned about him. So Allah is kind of reprimanding the Prophet a little bit, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he's saying that, you know, that the one who doesn't care about anything, you're concerned about him and putting an effort into him, but the one who's seeking to be purified, you're kind of shooing him away, right? So now Allah says, وَمَا عَلَيْكَ أَلَّا يَزَكَّى. that you are not that there is nothing upon you. وَمَا عَلَيْكَ, like there's nothing upon you. Allah yazakka. So Allah is saying that if the person who doesn't reform himself, you're not responsible for him, right? So if someone doesn't care, right, as you know, as people don't, it's not upon you. You know, you don't have to go about worrying so much. And this is also a life lesson that we can take from it. And I'm gonna be a little subtle because it's kind of it's a double-edged dagger, right? And many times, you know, as we grow up, we'll meet friends or people around us, and it seems like they're just negligent, like you know, they just don't really care about certain things. You know, maybe the person is kind of sad or depressed or something, and you know, they're not taking care of themselves, they're not bathing, not cutting their nails, or whatever the case may be. Like sometimes you meet people like that. Like, you know, you care for them a lot. You'll give them advice, you'll give them your money, feed them, everything you could possibly think of. You will do that for them. But then they'll just uh, you know, they'll kind of just shoot it under the rug, put it under the rug. And it's like they don't care. So, um, what I'm trying to basically get from that is that obviously you do not put all of your resources into some people, because some people will just, they're kind of like black holes and they'll just absorb everything from you and take everything from you. But you still lend a hand out, right? But it's not up to you to to rectify everybody, to help all of your friends and to make the world a better place. That's you do what you can. You make dua. You know, you as Allah says, you know, when there's evil about, you shun it and you try to uplift goodness, as Allah says like numerous times in the Quran. That is what is incumbent upon us. But when it comes to trying to rectify the world, it's not going to happen. That's not our job, right? And Allah is basically saying that here, like it's not. There's no blame on you if these people don't purify themselves. It's not up to you, right? It's not up to us. So that's what is a little lesson that I kind of take also. So now continuing for ayat number 8. وَأَمَّا مَنْ جَاءَكَ يَسْعَى. So it continues. وَأَمَّا, and as he for, or as he, or as for he, sorry. Man meaning who? Ja'aka. So ja'a means to come, or to like to come and go, right? Ka meaning is a pronoun and it means to you. And then yas'a is running. So yas'a means to run. So Allah says, as for he who comes to you running, وَهُوَ يَخْشَى, whilst fearing, or you could say and he fears, or you could say whilst, right? Like he's running to you while fearing, right? Um, not fearing obviously the Prophet or fearing like a lion behind him, but rather he says that he fears Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, like he fears that, you know, that he's might go to hell and he wants to be a better Muslim, etc. Right? So the next ayat now he says, فَأَنْتَ عَنْهُ تَلَهَّى. You pay no attention to him. So continues, فَأَنْتَ, you, عَنْهُ, meaning about him or for him, تَلَهَّى, you pay no mind to him. You kind of you know, you kind of ignore him. You can translate it like that. When the person you're ignoring should be the person that you're inclining towards, you know, giving your utmost attention, right? So now Allah says, Kalla innaha tadhkira. So he says, Kalla means never. Like, no, 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 don't do that. Like, don't do that. You can say, um, yeah, just like, don't do that, right? But it says, Allah, now the ayah continues, Innaha, verily it, meaning what Allah is talking about, is a tadhkira, you can say a reminder, or if you want to use a more um heavy word, just because of what's happening with the context of the surah, you can say it's an admonition. Admonition. Abmonition. When you admonish someone, you not to say rebuke them, because rebuking kind of like you're putting them down, but you just reminding them like, yo, don't do that, don't do that, that's bad, right? So now the ayah continues for number 12. If I'm going too fast, let me know, guys. The ayah continues for number 12. فَمَنْ شَاءَ ذَكَرَ. So whomever wills should remember it. ذَكَرَ means to remember, right? Or you could say ponder over, right? Because it's a reminder. So you remember the reminder, right? And you work about keeping it in the front of your mind and not putting it into the back. Next ayah is في صحف مكرمة. He says it is in, so suhuf just means like pages or scrolls. Sometimes, you guys call it, I mean, everybody calls it the Quran, but sometimes they call it the Mus'haf, right? So it comes from the same root words, Zahafa and Mus'haf. It's just adding a meme to the end, to the beginning of the Swad. So it just means the scroll or the book or pages. Mukarrama means honored, or you could say sanctified if you want to, boost up your vernacular. You could say dignified. Right. Continuing now. So next ayah is marfu'atin mutahhara. You could say marfu'a means similar to mukarrama. So marfu'a means something that's raised. So like, if you guys ever seen those movies where there's kings and they have like their thrones and it's like above everything. So that's kind of what marfu'a is. Something that is raised, it's exalted, exemplified. Um, it's similar. You can say there's it's a synonym of mukarrama, raised and honored. And then mutahhara means pure, uh, without any type of blemishes or defects. It's crystal clean. Right. So going back to eyes just temporarily, it says faman sha'a dhakara, so whomsoever should read it. Is another translation is reading it. So Allah is saying that so now a question may arise, like, read what though? Obviously these reminders. Well, Allah is saying that these reminders are in honored scrolls that are raised and are purified. Talking about the Quran, right? Or if we had if we had, for example, the Bible or the Injil, Muslims, we believe that there was a book given to uh Prophet Isa, or Jesus in English. We do believe that he received the book. We also believe that David received the Psalms, and then Moses received the Torah. So we believe that all these books came from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? So the original ones that those prophets got at their times, those are pure and, dignified and honored up to, exalted levels. But obviously, just because of throughout time, they were, you know, what's a good word to say? They were ruined by people, especially the Bible nowadays. People add stuff in it, they take stuff out, put in new chapters, and they do a whole bunch of hogwash to it. Um, so they disfigure it. But obviously the Quran is a final book, so that is kind of the one that's really up there now, right? Or the only one. So now continuing. The ID Safara. So you could say that the translation here is by the hands. So ID is the plural of yadun, which just means hands. And then B means with. Or you could say it's an oath too. In Toronto, a lot of people say, yo, well, say wallahi, fam. That's kind of like a thing. So when you say wallahi, the wow at the beginning of the wa is in Arabic a letter used to denote an oath, right? But so is the letter ba. So bi, Allah has taken an oath by the hands of the scribes. So safara is basically the people that just write, the scribes. So Allah has taken an oath by their hands. So now the ayah continues. Kiram and barara, you could say so kiram, you could say extremely noble. It's similar to mukarrama, the kaf, the ra, and the meme. Same root word. So just noble. You can say dignified, right? Again. And barara, you could say is virtuous. Virtuous, right? It's a lot of synonyms basically. So now, the when it comes to the next ayah, Allah kind of changes the subject. So he says, قُتِلَ الْإِنسَانُ مَا أَكْفَرَهُ. So the literal translation, I'm gonna describe it after, but the literal translation is uh that insan means humans, mankind. Qutila means death, but in the past tense, so died. Ma meaning um in English you could say how, but this is kind of like Shakespearean type of English when you're translating it because we don't really talk like this anymore. But for example, in English, you could, let's say say you're at what's a good example? You see a new car and you say, "Wow, that car is sick." That's how we talk nowadays. Say, "Wow, that car," and you describe it. But when it comes to like certain ways that Allah talks, they say, how amazing is that car? How sick is that car? How beautiful." So it's how, right? It's different than saying, "Oh, how are you feeling today?" It's the same word, obviously, but it's just different context. It gives a different meaning. So you're just trying to show, how how the status of a thing, right? And then akfara means you could say ungrateful. So now if you word for word, if you translate it, it says that mankind has died, how ungrateful is he? But obviously mankind we're still here. So what does that mean? But to make it make sense, um you could say it's a slight dua in a sense. Um and translation would technically be may man perish. May man or may mankind perish. Ama akfara, how ungrateful is he? And we sort of talk sometimes like this. Like let's say you're playing soccer and you get into like an argument or the guy touches the ball with his hands and he cheats, right? He's like, "Oh man, like you'd say, hopefully your arm breaks," type of thing, right? It's kind of just like a figure of speech. You don't literally mean it. You don't want your friend to break his arm, but it's just a figure of speech. So that continues. Min ayyi shay'in khalaqa. So the transition of this one is pretty simple. So he says, from what did he create him? Min means from, ay meaning which, shay'in means a thing, and then khalaqa means created him. And the who at the end is a pronoun meaning him, which going back to us humans. So now it continues. Min nutfah khalaqahu faqaddara. So a nutfa, you could translate it as a sperm, right? Um, so he says, min nutfatin, khalaqahu, that he created him from a sperm, faqaddara, and then he proportioned him, right? Meaning like he gave us arms, legs, head, ears, nose, eyes, uh, beard hair, head hair, toenails, everything. Like he properly fashioned and proportioned and molded the human being. And the next ayah now is thumma sabila yassara. So then thumma now means then after. Sabil means path. Yassara means to make something easy. So Allah says that He created us from sperm, then He proportioned us. And then after He did those two acts, the third act was that He made an easy path for us. Thumma amat, look like a noon for a second. Thumma amatahu فأقبره. Then after he took his life, amata means to take one's life. Like he took his life, he took his soul, فأقبره, and he placed him in the grave, right? So this is kind of like the transition that you were sperm, then you were proportioned with the human body, and then you were given an easy life, an easy path, and then your life was taken from you, and then you're put into the grave, right? And if you see how everyone says thumma thumma thumma, so it's a pattern. Like step one, step two, step three is all in proper order, right? And then after now you're in your grave, it says thumma idha sha'a anshara. So then thumma continuing, idha means when he in the future, like when he wants to, or sha'a means to will. Then after, when he wills, anshara, that he will raise him, meaning bring him back to life, bring him back to life, and place him on judgment, or sorry, place him on the field of judgment day. Next ayah now continues. Kalla lama yaqdi ma amara. So kalla, it's reminding you, remember, it means to never. He says lama yaqdi ma amara. So lamma means to not do something, and yaqdi means to fulfill or to complete. Ma meaning what, and then amara means what he commanded him. So he's saying that never he has not fulfilled or completed what he was commanded, or you say what he ordered him to do, in brackets, to do, right? So now Allah is describing signs that actually, yeah, so I'm gonna read a little part here. So it says, man has certainly not recognized the rights due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he has not fulfilled what he has been ordered to do. Right? Like the rights that Allah has upon us, first and foremost, is just simply that we worship him. Um, right. And then when we mess up, we make tawbah. And so we fail when it comes to making these rights. Uh, right, and we don't fulfill them properly. Sometimes we sleep past Fajr, or sometimes we're praying and we're thinking about playing video games and we're not focused in our salah. So it's things like that, right? So now the ayat continues, ayat number 24. فَلْيَنْظُرِ الْإِنسَانُ إِلَى طَعَامِهِ. So this is a command. فَلْيَنْظُرْ means so look, like so look, or so man should look, because of insan meaning man. So man should look إِلَى طَعَامِهِ, towards his food. Ta'am literally translates as food, but if you wanted to, you could also translate it as your sustenance. Things like the things that you take care of yourself with, right? Um, ayat number 25 now continues. Anna sababna al-ma'a sabba. So I don't know if you guys remember. One second. My father's calling me. 1 second, guys. I'm gonna put a pause. 1 second, guys. Sorry about the little jump there. So continuing, if you guys remember from a few classes previous or prior, I was explaining that in Arabic, a lot of times, many times, Allah will use emphasis on certain things. And in Arabic, when you do that, you can just take the same word and put it at the end of the sentence, and it just means emphasis. So, but in this particular ayah, Allah actually uses, from what I can count, two means of emphasis. So he doubled down, as we say in English. Allah Ta'ala, he doubled down, put two things of emphasis. So the first one is anna, which is the first, just means verily. And the second one is, as I mentioned, that he brought the second word, or sorry, he brought the word again, which is sabab, or with the sod, sababna, and then at the end sabba, just the same word, and it means to pour down. And then ma'a means water. So Allah is saying that surely or verily, in most definitely or indubitably, we have sent down or poured down water. In simple translation, we have surely poured down water. And then next ayah, ثُمَّ ثم شققنا الأرض شقا. So now it's the same thing. He uses shaqqa at the end, and then shaqaqna. Uh, just emphasis once again. So shaqqa means to cleave asunder, which means to just split apart. You know, if you guys ever watch videos or have ever done it yourself, you have an axe and you cut down a piece of wood and you chop it in half, you're cleaving it asunder, you're cleaving it in half, right? So Allah says, then after we have cleaved the earth in half, we have cleaved, not in half, sorry, we have cleaved the earth asunder, or you can just we split it, right? If you wanted to be a little bit easier, all right? And so you may think like, oh, what does that mean? Because the earth is obviously intact. It's not like we don't have half a world. Um, but you can say that, which is actually pretty cool. You see how when it rains, right, the water comes down, it it hits the grass, and then the grass feeds on it. So many times, and I'm going to use actually a specific example. Many times you'll see how um if you go to a park that has concrete, sometimes you'll see blades of grass come through the concrete, right? Like roads and stuff that haven't been trampled over for a long time. You'll see that roses, flowers, grass blades, like the little grass will come out from the concrete. Even though obviously concrete is a lot harder than a little thingy of grass, but it's saying that a little grass was able to split through. That's something else that's so difficult. So that is kind of an example of like, something like that is able to split the earth in half, metaphorically speaking, right? It's actually really cool. And then the next ayat, number 27. فَأَنبَتْنَا فِيهَا حَبًّا. Thereafter, or then after, uh, or so then, we caused grain. أَنبَتْنَا means to cause or to grow. فِيهَا, in it, حَبًّا. حَب means grain. In Arabic, you guys ever hear people say Habib? Like Habibi, Habibi. They say stuff like that. So um I believe it comes from similar root words in Arabic. And it's when you love someone, it's like they planted a seed in your heart, right? And then when you love them, the seed is growing and you love them more and more and more and more. Kind of like that, right? You guys want to be all poetic and stuff. So now the next ayah. وَعِنَبًا وَقَضْبًا. So inab means grapes, and qadba is edible plants. It's edible plants. Um, something that's actually really cool. I was camping uh a couple weeks ago with one of my teachers. Um, and he found mint leaves like near our camping site, a couple little stem of mint leaves, and he grabbed some and he started chewing on it. I was like, what if you get sick? He's like, no, it's fine. And I realized, like, sometimes you go buy gum and it tastes minty. Comes from mint leaves. That's an edible plant. My teacher started eating it. He's like, oh, now I'm gonna have fresh breath. I'm like, bruh. That was kind of funny at the moment. Um, but yeah, so grapes, inab is grapes, and then qadba is edible plants. Next ayah now, number 29. Was zaytuna wa nakhla. Zaytun is olives, like the stuff you put in your hair, olive oil, just olives. When nakhla is a synonym for dates. I'm gonna make a really corny joke now. Not the dates on a calendar, but the dates that you eat. Right? That was corny. Yeah, I know you like that one. No, no. Yeah, don't mean you always make corny jokes sometimes, huh? Oh, you can't hear me? Oh well. Right. وحدائق. So حدائق is means garden. It's the synonym of Jannah. Jannah just means garden. Um, وحدائق
لا
غلبة.
here, yeah, just
غلبة
was responding.
Oh, that's how bad the joke was, eh? This guy didn't want to respond.
No, I was thinking, I was like, because at my school, like now, like they do gym at my school, so like sometimes like other students do it, but not like I'm doing it this week, again, so I'm like
Oh,
leading
what?
doing the khutbah and stuff at my
Oh,
school.
you were leading it. Or you're
I did
saying,
it last week, yeah,
oh yeah?
yeah.
MashaAllah. So you did the khutbah and you led Jummah namaz.
Mm-hmm.
MashaAllah. Was it uh was it nerve-wracking?
No.
No. I remember the first time I had to lead namaz when I was in school. Oh, sorry, Jummah. I was so nervous. Started stuttering. I'm like, Allah, Allah, Allah. I was like, Allah. I'm not good with being on stage, you know. So if you're good with that, then that's a very good quality. To not to be able to keep your confidence even when everybody's watching you. So mashallah, man. That's very good. Mashallah. And I would say also make sure you practice for Jummahs and stuff, you know. Uh but you're always pretty good from with that kind of stuff. From the years that you and I have known each other. So mashallah, man. Mashallah. So continuing now. So once again, ghulba means dense foliage. Foliage just means greenery, you know, with the grass and the flowers and everything. Wa fakihatan. So fakiha means fruits. Wa abba means pastures. So pastures, I believe, is just another synonym for greenery, right? Or it's like foliage. They're synonyms. So Allah is basically just describing things that he's taken out from the earth after he put the rain down, right? He brought grain, grapes, edible plants, olives, dates, gardens of dense foliage, fruits, pastures, just different things, right? And so if you go back to ayah number 24, uh فَلْيَنْظُرِ الْإِنسَانُ, when Allah says, so mankind should look towards his food. And so Allah is describing what it is that we eat, right? We eat grain, we eat grapes, we eat plants, we eat olives, dates, you know, we walk through gardens, or fruits or pastures, all of this stuff, right? So now the next ayah continues. Number 32. مَتَاعًا wali an'amikum. So mata'an is it just means it's a vague word that just means beneficial. Something that's just beneficial. So if you guys have a rag and you're wiping yourself, you're wiping the wudu off your arm, that's mata'. It's just beneficial. Or it's a useful thing. Like I said, something that's beneficial. So it says mata'allakum, something that is beneficial for you, wali an'amikum. So like not only does it the foods and the greenery and the pastures and the grapes feed you, but even feeds your cattle. So an'amikum means your cattle. You know, like your cows and your chickens and your goose and everything else that you see on farms. It's all cattle. Actually, no, I lied. I believe cattle is just um mainly cows and like sheep and stuff like that. I think chickens may be classified differently. I think cattle is mainly cows and stuff, but you can always Google it to double check. So now the next ayah, فَإِذَا جَاءَتِ الصَّاخَّةُ. So ja'a, if you guys remember, means something that comes. So Allah is saying, فَإِذَا, so like suddenly, when the صَاخَّة comes, you could say the ear-piercing cry, or yeah, the ear-piercing cry, or the screeching sound. Suddenly when it comes, and this refers to the blowing of the trumpet. It's just like what is that? Like you hear something, it's just like and it could just just uh just completely discombobulates you and just puts you like in a weird trance. I can't, like, and it just bothers you. That's what that screeching sound is, like nails on a chalkboard. You know, But he
No,
says,
I don't know. I've never had that experience.
you've never heard a sound and it just like bothers you?
No.
Wow. That's strange because me and my mom both have a particular sound that bothers us. My mom, for example, if you have like a deck of cards, and let's say you're playing like Crazy Eights or something, right? And you're playing on the ground and you take the card and you flip it on carpet, just flip it on carpet, that sound bothers my mom. And then for me is if you're ever doing dishes and you scrape metal on metal, it bothers me so much. Surprised you don't have A sound. I thought everybody had A sound that just bothered them. Oh, yeah, it troubles me so much. Um, ayah number 34 now continues. It says, "Yawma yafirru al-mar'u min akhihi." So yawm, as you guys remember, it means day. Uh, yafirru means to flee. Like you know when someone's like if like someone's trying to rob you or hurt you, like you're running for your life, like top speed, Usain Bolt like a cheetah. It means to flee, like you're running. Al-mar'u means man or mankind. Min akhihi means from his brother. Um, so basically this trumpet is gonna be blown and everybody's gonna be scattering. In English, the word I heard before is called helter skelter. Helter, Helter, and then Skelter, helter skelter. It means where everybody's just running, like just everybody's running in every single direction. Helter skelter. So he says a day when a man will flee from his brother, wa ummihi, and from his mom, wa abihi, and from his father, wa sahibatihi, wa banihi, and from his companions, his best friends, and from his children. Oh sorry, my apologies. His female companion, his wife. Sahibatihi is a female companion, which is your wife. Sorry about that. So he'll be fleeing from his wife and his children. The next ayah now is number 37. لكل امرئ sorry لكل what? I'm not even gonna try. For each one of them on the day will have enough concern of his own. I stuttered too much, man. I have to work on it. And this is remember I told you, Yahya, how I always mess up when I'm on stage. It's kind of like that. I can read the ayah, but if people are listening to me to try to read it, I can't. My brain just shuts off and I just can't anymore. A little bit of my stage fright. So likulli means for every, and then im ri'in means you just say mankind again for every man. Minhum, amongst them. Yawma idin. Yawma idin just means on that day. Sha'nui yughni. So basically Allah is saying that for every man on that day will his concern, his sha'an means a concern, uh that his concern will be enough for him. I mean, like you know when you're just so busy and someone says, "Hey, bro, can you come help me?" And you just say, "Nah, man, I'm too busy. I have too much on my mind. I'm too concerned with something to bother with you right now." That's basically what's going to be happening. Yeah, he's like, I just can't do it with. I just can't deal with it. You're going to be so troubled with trying to deal with what's happening in your afterlife that you're just like, "Nah, man, I no, please, no, thank you, no, thank you." Right? And another next ayah is wujuhu yawma idhin musfira. It says faces. Wujuhun means faces. Yawma idhin, same. On that day. Musfira means will be beaming with light. Beaming with light. Or you'd say illuminated. That's another good word. Now, the next ayah. Dhahikatum mustabshira. Dhahika means laughing. Mustabshira means rejoicing. Right? Like we're dancing, happy. Right? Um, now the next ayah is we'll finish at ayah number 42. That's 6:15, I believe. Maghrib is soon. The next one is wujuhu yawma idhin alayha ghabara. Sorry, وَوُجُوهٌ يَوْمَئِذٍ عَلَيْهَا غَبَرَةٌ. He says, and many faces on that day shall have dust on them. Yeah. عليها meaning on it is غبرة, is dust. Next ayah now. ترهقها قطرة, that darkness shall cover them. So like when like you're playing around and you're kind of like you're dirty and you're just filthy and everything's just like kind of muddied around. So that's gonna be the dirt. And then darkness covering them is that it's just a this says that the dirt and grime of unbelief shall cover the faces of the unbelievers, and the darkness of sinning and iniquity shall darken their faces further. He says, Ulaika humul kafaratul fajara. Ulaika means those, or they are those, like those are the people. Hum, it's kind of emphasis once again. Kafara are the disbelievers. Fajara, you can say the wicked, the wickedly unbelieving people. Ula, Ulaika humul kafaratul fajara. Or these are, or say, those are the very ones who are the disbelievers and the wicked. So that is it for Surah Al-Abasa. It'll be roughly Fajr now. Not Fajr. Maghrib. Um yeah. You ever should I go over anything? Is there any questions or anything, guys? Or if not, then we can just continue then Surah Takwir next class next week, inshallah. Any questions or anything, guys? Nope.